It's me, Anton Chigurh, back at it again with a new episode of the Boy Time Podcast. And as always, I'm joined by Babby.
Mm.
We have a fun and exciting podcast episode, as always. We took a week off because you had teeth surgery.
Indeed.
Would you like to tell the class about that? Was it a harrowing experience?
It's not fun.
No?
I'm in pain currently still, so it's fine. It's,
Are-
my entire face is basically torn apart, but
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah.
Are you able to eat Captain Crunch cereal yet?
Nope.
Oh,
I'm on
okay.
a soft food diet for 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yep.
You're eating
I'm
oatmeal
gonna
only?
lose it. It's gonna be pasta for a long time.
Any?
But no spicy Doritos for
Oh
6
no.
weeks.
What did you do for the Super Bowl then?
I had cottage cheese and I
Okay.
had ramen that was cooked way longer than usual, so the noodles would be super soft.
Wow.
It
That's
was fantastic.
that's great Super Bowl food.
And I'm not allowed to sneeze, which
You're
is
not
interesting.
allowed to.
Yeah,
do you mean
because
you're
my
not
teeth
allowed
impacted
to?
my sinus cavity, so
Oh.
I'm also healing my sinuses at the same time,
What do you mean
and
you're
my jaw.
What do you mean you're not allowed to sneeze?
They're like, if you have to absolutely sneeze, make sure your mouth is wide open. I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna sneeze.
Wide open.
It could build up pressure and do something. I don't know.
Oh, shoot your nose
It
off.
feels really weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, it's awful.
I sneeze all the time because I'm allergic to everything.
That's true.
I'll walk in like a slightly moldy building and then I'll just be sneezing up a storm. Well, hopefully I'll never have to do teeth surgery.
If you haven't had to yet, you're probably good.
Well, you just had it done. And
Yeah,
we
but
are
I
pretty much
delayed
the
it for
same
a
age.
couple of years.
Oh. Well, that's why you
Which
can't sneeze. Yes. Yeah, so I don't have any teeth, basically. I have dentures only. But that's okay, I think.
It's for the better.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, it's been a hot minute since we did an episode of this show. So we probably have a lot to go through. I've only seen 3 movies. Well, not technically true. I've seen other movies, but they were covered on the Love the Mom podcast. So I guess I'm getting the plug out of the way early. But if you're interested in my takes and my mother's takes on Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, you should go check that out on the Love the Mom podcast. It's an interesting film. It's a very interesting film. It's our longest podcast episode to date, which is interesting. I think that one went 2 hours. So I don't know how we talked about it for that long, but we did. So check that out. But I'm not going to be talking about Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. I guess we'll get the 2 mid movies out of the way and then get to the one that I really, really loved. Or maybe I should start with the one I really loved, because one of the mid movies I'm going to be talking about for a minute. We'll do the one that's really great. And I basically watched this really great movie on a whim. I was just scrolling through Netflix and I saw Robin Williams' face, and I'm like, I've never even heard of this movie. And I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. And so then I clicked on it, and it's called Awakenings. Have you ever heard of this movie?
No.
Me neither. It's Robin Williams and Robert De Niro, of
Oh,
all people. Yeah. Directed by Penny Marshall, who did like Big and A League of Their Own. Basically like comedies. And then this really great like melodrama, I guess. But basically the plot of it is Robin Williams plays like this like introverted, he's like a research psychologist. But he takes this job at a mental hospital. This movie takes place, I think, in the 70s, early 70s. And he he gets this job, and there's this like group of people in this mental hospital that all um I don't really know what the politically correct term for it is, but they're in a vegetative state. They can't move, they can't talk, they basically have no expression. They're just like stuck in their wheelchairs. And he notices that all of them, before they started showing symptoms, they all developed this disease in the 20s. And then they've all basically been stuck like this for decades. Um, and so he tries to get them to wake up, and he tries this experimental drug called uh, Dopa L, which is like an artificial dopamine thing, which was originally developed to help people with Parkinson's. And his theory is that these people are basically, they have like super Parkinson's, where the tremors are so great that it essentially just locks your body in place. So I don't know if, I mean, this is based on a true story. I don't know exactly what the details are of the real event. I should have done my research, but I didn't. But he gives them this experimental drug, and then for a while, they actually like wake up and are basically back to normal. They have like 2 weeks where they get to like experience life, and it's this really interesting story because a lot of them, basically, it affected them at different like points in their life. Because Robert De Niro's character, he got sick when he was like 12, like really like a young kid. And then he like went full catatonic in his like early 20s. And so then he wakes up and he's like maybe late 40s. So he's like missed 20 years of his life. And so he's like waking up and realizing like how much time has passed. He's like looking in the mirror, and he's like a full grown man now, and he's like reckoning with that. And he's also he's like having like he's attracted to this lady that visits her dad at the hospital, and he's like trying to reckon with those feelings because he's never had anything like that before. And so it's this really great film about a bunch of people who basically had like their lives taken away from them, and they're given a brief period of time where they're able to live again. Um, and it's like this really, really great like celebration of life. It's a tale about a bunch of, well, yeah, it's about a bunch of people who don't take anything for granted. They're always saying like yes to everything because they don't know when they're gonna get when they're gonna regress back into that state. Um, and it is really, really like heartbreaking because, I mean, I didn't know anything about this true story. I think it's basically a true story. It's based on Robin Williams' character's memoir after this event happened. Um, and I think it was maybe for a month. I'm not sure how much it was in real life, but it was this like really like a miracle almost, where these people were given a really brief window of life again, and then they eventually, that drug wore off. And then I guess they did have some like brief flashes of that again over the years, but it wasn't as long as this one period where everybody woke up. So it's this really interesting thing, and it's kind of hard to put into words like why it's so great. Um, but it's a really heartwarming tale, I guess, because it's like, well, all these things we take for granted, like Robert De Niro, he's like fighting the system because he just wants to go on a walk, and like everybody, like the people who run the hospital are like, well, why do you want to go on a walk? And he's like, because I haven't been outside. I want to see like the birds. I want to like chill out in a park. I want to like see people live their day to day. And I want to see like traffic because I haven't been able to look outside. So it's like he's just taking in all of these little things, and the hospital's like, no, that we can't have you do that without supervision. And so, yeah, it's a. I don't really want to give too much away. I mean, I guess I did kind of give away the whole thing, but it's based on a true story, so whatever. I highly recommend it. I didn't think that Robin Williams would be able to top his performance in Good Will Hunting, which is one of my favorite movies ever. Um, but I think he does like a really great job in this movie, playing someone who's really understated. Um, he has a lot of like subtle nuances, where like he's basically telling no jokes in this movie, which is weird because the movie came out in 1990. It wasn't like in like his late period where he was like just doing like really serious stuff, no jokes. But there is still this like warmth that like emanates off of him, which is ever present, and it's just really nice. It's this really nice like friendship too between him and Robert De Niro, and that's what makes it even more heartbreaking when De Niro like starts showing symptoms where he's starting to regress, and then Robin Williams is like basically watching his friend like disappear, and it's like that's so sad. It's really sad. But I highly recommend it. It's one of those rare cases where like I finished a movie and I'm like this like changed how I view things, like the world and everything around me, um, and for the better. So if you're in the mood for something like that, I would recommend checking out Awakenings. It's on the Netflix, so do that. The other one of the other movies I watched was Crimson Peak. I think this was the first movie I watched since last episode. And after last episode, when I talked about the serial killer movies, I needed a break. And I think that's kind of why I went to Awakenings. Like, oh, I like Robin Williams. I'll watch that. And my local theater was playing Crimson Peak. And I'm like, oh, I like Guillermo del Toro. I'll go watch that. And Crimson Peak is basically his movie Devil's Backbone, but a little bit worse. Um, and I don't think it's entirely his fault. But basically the plot of this movie is there's a lady, and her name is Lady, and she falls in love with Tom Hiddleston, who's Loki from the Marvel film, and they fall in love and they get married, and she moves into this dude's house, and wouldn't you know it, the house is haunted by a ghost, a very spooky ghost. It's a red ghost that has a skull face, and it's very frightening. But wouldn't you know it, the ghost is actually misunderstood the whole time, which is exactly what happens in Devil's Backbone. But in Devil's Backbone, there's a little bit more sympathy for the ghost because it's a little kid, and it's like actually a little kid. The only like thing about like him being a ghost is that like he has like I think he has like a chip of his skull missing or something, and there's like always like blood kind of coming out of that hole, which is why it's so like distinct. Like I really love that depiction of ghosts because it's like it's a real person, but like the actual wound that like caused their death is just ever present in that spiritual form. And especially like how the blood comes out, it looks like he's underwater or something, where it's kind of like wispy and like it moves up instead of down. It's this interesting kind of style he has with it. Um, but in this one, it's a monster. It's like a spooky Conjuring esque ghost. I'm like, well, I don't. You want me to feel sympathy for spooky ghost? Like, that I don't think it really works like that. Movie. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And I think this movie falls into the trap of every horror film that came out in the early to mid 2010s, which is we need teenagers to get in here and get spooked. So we're going to have a bunch of loud jump scares that are preceded by violin, and then right before the jump scare, there's a heartbeat that plays for about 5 seconds, and then the jump scare happens, and then it's revealed to either be fake in the person's mind or it was real, but then when they show someone else, the ghost isn't there. And it's like, well, I've seen this before. I've seen this in 10 billion movies that all do the same thing. So the horror doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really pay off. It's not really executed in a unique way. And the ghost is not sympathetic at all, which is the point. But spoilers, Tom Hiddleston croaks, and then when he comes back as a ghost, it's literally Devil's Backbone, like he's a person, and he has like a chip on his skull where the blood is flowing up, and I'm like, can you? He just plagiarized himself. I mean, maybe if that was like consistent, or it's like this is Guillermo del Toro's like portrayal of ghosts. This is what they always look like. Anytime he portrays a ghost, they do this thing, but they don't. Tom Hiddleston does it and the boy does it, but not the spooky monster Red Skull ghost, because that one needs to scare teenagers. Whereas Tom Hiddleston ghost is supposed to be the cute Tom Hiddleston that all the Tumblr people like. It just feels weird and out of place. But that being said, the production design is absolutely fantastic. Pretty much goes without saying with a Guillermo del Toro film. I think it's a period piece, takes place in late 1800s / early 1900s, Victorian era, I guess you could say. The film starts in America, and then when she moves in with Tom Hiddleston, it's in the UK somewhere. And yeah, the dresses and the suits and everything like all look really, really great and period correct. And it does the thing that I love, where every single character is associated with a color. I think Baby Driver is the most obvious example of this, where Jamie Foxx is red, John Hamm is blue, John Hamm's wife is pink, and then Baby is black, gray, and white. Kevin Spacey is suit. I guess he doesn't really have a color. It's just he's fancy. But this movie does it also, where Lady is always dressed in white and gold to show that she's pure of heart. And then Tom Hiddleston is always dressed in black because he's a evil man. And Tom Hiddleston's evil sister, which I have not mentioned, she always wears red because she's the one that killed the red spooky monster ghost, and it's supposed to tie those two together, where even subconsciously we're supposed to associate them together. And so then when it's revealed that she was the one that killed Red Spooky Skull Ghost, it's like, aha, well, that's why Red Spooky Skull Ghost is red, is because it was evil Jessica Chastain who killed the Red Spooky Skull Ghost. It's actually really, really smart when you think of it like that. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. That's the movie. There's not a whole lot to say besides that. Some aspects of it are pretty good. I think the overall plot is pretty solid. Of like the brother and the sister, they basically just con rich people out of their money, and then like basically just throw their dead bodies in the clay. Their house is built on red clay. I've never seen clay that is like crimson as it comes out of the ground, but that's what this movie is. That's why it's called Crimson Peak. They live on a mountain of red clay. Tom Hiddleston is trying to get cash so he can make a new drilling machine to drill the red clay out of the hill. I don't really know if they ever explain why. Like, why is he trying to drill for red clay? Is it like valuable? Because if it was, I mean, Tom Hiddleston at one point like steps on a floorboard and red crimson clay comes seeping out through the floorboards. this stuff seems super abundant. Someone would have come along and like knocked down this old house, killed Tom Hiddleston and his sister because it's the late 1800s. And if your house is built on something super valuable, you're going to get murdered if you're not doing anything with it and you don't hire people to patrol. I guess this takes place in the UK and everything is all, you know, very polite, prim, and proper. So since they are property holders, they probably were able to be like, hey, no trespassing, even though we're sitting on a diamond mine that we're not able to do anything with because we don't have any cash. I don't know. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but what do I know? I'm just a dummy. So this film is probably secretly brilliant. But yeah, it's a great gothic romance, spooky Red Skull ghost film. If you want to watch two characters fall in love and then one of them croak and to get spooked by a red spooky skull ghost, then this is the film for you. Unfortunately, I didn't really need to see any of those things, so it was not really the film for me. But I did give it 3 stars and a heart, though, because I think it's very well done, the production design side of it. And I do love my cutie boy Guillermo del Toro, but uh, this one is at the bottom of my Guillermo del Toro list, unfortunately. Actually, that's not true. I don't like Hellboy at all. Um, I guess I'll just die on that hill. Right before I crucify myself by talking about the next film I watched, No Country for Old Men,
Oh
the
no.
the instant classic that everyone loves. Um, I watched this movie because I got the Criterion version for Christmas, and I haven't seen the film since I was 16. And I thought, well, when I watched it when I was 16, I didn't like it at all. Um, in fact, I think when I was like a dummy in film school, as I was like trying to explain why I didn't like the movie to like people in writing class, I was like, the pacing's all off. It's like a heartbeat monitor where there's like big spikes of action and then like huge swaths of nothing happening. And I think that that was a harsh critique. After watching it this time, I didn't really notice any really bad pacing issues like that. The scenes in between the big action scenes actually uh, are great in the first hour or so of the movie. The first hour of the movie is honestly like maybe one of the best cat and mouse chase movies I've ever seen. Anton Chigurh, played by Javier Bardem, is like the best villain ever. Or at least that's what Variety said or something. Um, and I'll be honest, I do really like the performance. The performance is great. I don't totally like vibe with the character so much. And this is someone who loves lawful evil villains. And so, like, that's what everyone talks about when they talk about Anton Chigurh is that he has like these set of principles. But I didn't really get that vibe from this movie necessarily, and compared to other like lawful evil villain types. This felt like, well, this feels like a neutral evil, and that doesn't really like it's fine, but it's not as interesting. Um, I feel like watching someone who's just a complete psychopath isn't necessarily fun. It's just like, well, this guy is evil because he's evil. He just likes killing people. Like for instance, there's like a scene of Anton Chigurh just driving at night, and for literally no reason, there's like a bird that's like chilling on like one of the guardrails next to the highway, and he pulls out a silenced pistol and shoots it. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense for anybody to do. He's an outlaw that's on the run. He was the beginning of the movie is him being arrested. So like the law is on him. And for literally no reason, he shoots a bird that has the caliber rounds that he was using. That's not what like a super smart villain does, because that's going to like, oh, well, the trail picks up here at this bird that we found that was shot for literally no reason. Is that just to be like he's crazy? Because we already got that by him murdering a bunch of people for no reason. It just feels out of place and not like the smartest way to convey that information. Um, but whatever. I feel like most people know the plot of No Country for Old Men, but just a brief plot synopsis for those who have not seen it. Josh Brolin plays Man. I really need to start learning people's names. It's like Llewellyn, I think. Uh, I'm gonna call him Josh Brolin because I've never met anyone named Llewellyn, and I'm never gonna remember that. So Josh Brolin, he's out hunting, and he happens across a crime scene. A bunch of trucks, a bunch of dead Mexicans. This takes place in Texas, by the way. A bunch of dead Mexicans, and they all killed each other. Um, and he tracks down like the last man standing, and that guy has a briefcase with about $2 million in it. And so Josh Brolin says, "Hot dog, I'm gonna take my wife, and we're gonna get out of here." But little did he know, that little briefcase has a little bug in it, and Anton Chigurh has the retriever or the receiver, whatever. So he can track Josh Brolin. And so basically the first hour of the movie is fantastic, where Josh Brolin is on the run. He sent his wife off to chill with his mother-in-law, and now he's on the run. He's trying to lose Anton Chigurh and everyone else that's trying to get this money. And it's action-packed, and it's exciting, and it's really fun to see someone as evil as Anton Chigurh get outsmarted and outwitted by Man, uh, who's not really in the business at all. He was just a random guy, and he happened across this money. And so that's really, really fun, and it's great. And this is where I'm going to talk about the spoilers for No Country for Old Men, because the ending of this movie makes me so mad that I think I subtracted like a full star from this movie because the ending is terrible. Okay, I gave you enough time. Josh Brolin gets murdered off screen for literally no reason. And it's not even by Anton Chigurh. It's by the Mexicans that had the money in the beginning. Which begs the question, okay, so our main protagonist is dead, but there's still half an hour left of the movie. What happens? Well, funny you should ask, because Tommy Lee Jones has been a sheriff this whole time, who has been not good at his job, should we say. Basically, he gets there, and he gets to the crime scene, the initial crime scene where all of the Mexicans are shot dead. And he's like, wow, this is pretty bad. There's probably one guy who got away with the money, but I don't really care. Let's leave. And then they leave. And then like the deputy that goes with him, like is always bringing back information where he's like, hey, the DEA and like the FBI are going to be checking out that case, the crime scene, and they want you to go there. And he's like, no, I don't want to. I want to go to Josh Brolin's house. And then they go to Josh Brolin's house. And Anton Chigurh was just there, and he left the milk out. And Tommy Lee Jones says, this is the worst day of my life. I'm going to drink this guy's milk. So then he drinks Josh Brolin's milk. Why are you a cop? This is like in stark contrast to Frances McDormand's character in Fargo, where like Frances McDormand walks on the crime scene, the initial crime scene in Fargo, and like solves the case immediately and then gets to work trying to solve it. And so then like by the time Frances McDormand solves the case and arrests not Steve Buscemi, the other guy, it's like super satisfying because like it's a really fun mystery cop drama. But we just watched Tommy Lee Jones be like lazy for an hour and a half, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go find Josh Brolin, and then he gets there, and Josh Brolin is already dead. And then the rest of the movie is Tommy Lee Jones being really sad. And so then Tommy Lee Jones goes and talks to some character that has not even been mentioned. I, I don't know who he is. I think it's implied that he's Tommy Lee Jones' brother or something, but they are somewhat estranged. And they talk about like the fragility of human life and like you shouldn't give up on humanity. And I'm like, okay, that's the theme of the movie. You just said it. Human life is fragile. Therefore, take every opportunity you can get, or something. Something to that effect. Uh, is there not a better way that you could do that? You could, uh, I don't know, maybe just do something that's more subtle instead of just saying, I'm sad. Let's talk about how fragile human life is and how I don't want to waste another second of my life being a cop. It's like, well, I'm glad that you're not a cop anymore, Tommy Lee Jones. But what's the point? Why do I care? I only care about Josh Brolin. He's the only character I like in this entire movie, and you murder him off screen. Um, so why? Also, Anton Chigurh's end to his arc, he shows up at Josh Brolin's wife's house. At this point, it's been weeks or months since the events of Josh Brolin and him chasing. And he shows up and he's just like, I'm going to murder you because I told your husband that I would murder you if he didn't give me the money, and then he died. So because he didn't give me the money, I'm going to murder you, a random person um, who's like tangentially related to this thing that happened a long time ago. And again, this doesn't make any sense for any like mass murderer to do. I understand he's a psycho. He's a psychopath that just loves murdering people. But like at this point, it's like wildly unrealistic that he would like he just isn't caught. He's murdering people every single day in the most like elaborate way possible because he uses like an air gun that they use to like slaughter cows. The ones that like it's like a metal rod that like shoots out and then gets sucked back in so that there's no bullets except for the bird because the bird he shoots with a gun and most people he shoots with a gun, but sometimes he uses the air gun. Um, and it's just I don't understand. Why did he murder Josh Brolin's wife? Especially because Josh Brolin's wife is like the one person who deserves a happy ending out of this, where it's like her husband dies and she gets back because her mom dies too. Her mom has cancer and she's coming home from her mom's funeral. At this point, her husband and mom have both died. She's lost her house. And then she comes home and Anton Chigurh is just chilling there, and then he murders her. Why on earth would you do that to the one sympathetic character in this entire film? It is mind-boggling. I don't understand the writing decisions that were going on here. And I don't want to totally blame this on the Coen brothers because they've made some of my favorite movies ever. Fargo is like a top 4 movie for me. Uh, so like I know that they are capable of finishing a story correctly, and I know this was based on a book. So I have to assume that this was the ending that was in the book. But and I could be completely wrong. Maybe the ending of the book is completely different. But because it's like the most shoddy ending I've ever seen in an otherwise like pretty perfect movie, I have to assume that like this was not their decision. um, because of the Coen brothers movies I've seen, they all have competent endings and they all have plots that end in places that they should. that are satisfying, where there are setups and there are people that you root for along the way, and the people that you root for either succeed or they fail, but in their failure, you have a lot of fun along the way. Uh, Nothing really works out for the dude in The Big Lebowski the way that he wants it to, but that's fun. It's fun to see things go wrong. It's not fun to watch. If in The Big Lebowski the dude died in the first like the last 20 minutes, and then uh John Goodman and Steve Buscemi are just like, man, it really sucks that the dude died. I really regret all of the actions that we took up until this point and the lack of actions that we took up to this point. Because really, it was we had the ability the whole time to save that life and to end this chaos. But here we were just playing bowling in a time like this while our world was collapsing, and now we are down a friend. This is the worst moment in my life, and I regret everything that I've ever done that has led me to this moment. That's not a fun ending for The Big Lebowski. And this is not a fun ending for No Country for Old Men. It's like, it's the most baffling ending I've ever seen. Yeah, I don't like it, I guess, is what I'm coming to. That's the conclusion that I've come to. I still don't really like this movie. It's fine. It's pretty good. At times, it's perfect. But overall, it's the most frustrating movie for me. And I don't totally understand the hype. Because I basically went into it at this point being like, okay, I was dumb when I was 16. I had a bunch of bad takes on movies that I have since completely come around on. I like absolutely love some movies that I watched when I was a dumb kid, and completely come around on them. And I expected that to happen here because No Country for Old Men is absolutely beloved. So I don't know. Still doesn't click. Maybe in another 20 years it'll finally make sense. But at this point, I'm still upset and angry. And I don't want to hear anybody say that I'm missing the point. I don't want any challenges to the criticism that I'm levying against this movie. I don't want to know why I'm wrong. And I don't really want to be corrected. I want to live in this fantasy world where I'm right about this movie that everyone else is wrong about. And you guys just aren't smart enough to get it. And I'm super smart for coming up with better stuff, better endings. I can think of better endings to this film. But maybe it isn't sad enough. This movie came out in 2007. I have a feeling that maybe the Coens were just super depressed about the state of the world in the early to mid 2000s, what with George Bush and all. In which case, I kind of understand where they're coming from, where it's like, man, everything sucks right now. I mean, you compare Tommy Lee Jones to Frances McDormand, and it's like, it's kind of like night and day, their portrayal of like the cop lead. I'm like, okay, is there something going on where they're making some sort of statement about police? Are they doing some sort of like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have had Frances McDormand be such like a badass in Fargo? She isn't like a, well, she's just a really nice lady in Fargo. I don't know. I don't understand the behind the scenes. I don't know much about what happened in the production of this film. I just know that it didn't turn out very good, according to me. So, watch the film. Tell me, am I wrong? And if I am, don't let me know. Again, I want to live in a fantasy world. Do not send an email to me unless it is to offer me $1,000 as a reward for being very smart and clever about this No Country for Old Men film that everyone is raving about. If you want to give me, hey, if you want to give me $2 million, maybe you found the briefcase, because I think by the end of the movie, the money is completely gone. Yeah. Yeah, the money is never resolved. We never find out where the money went. Is that a thing like Fargo, where Steve Buscemi buries the money and then like sticks the like car scraper thing in the snow, and then we never that is never resolved? Is it supposed to be like that? I don't know. Were they expecting to make a No Country for Old Men TV show where it's an anthology? I'd honestly watch that. I think that would probably be better. But yeah, I don't know if people just really like this movie because of Javier Bardem, which he is very, 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 very good in this movie. He's very good in general. He's one of the only actors that is like very openly supporting Palestine. So I definitely don't want to rag on him, but also he's just a very, very good actor. So I wouldn't rag on him anyways. Um, so I don't know. Uh, that's my, I guess that's my review for New Country for Old Men. It made me very upset. And I don't want anyone to correct me on it. So I just want to voice my opinion, and that's what it is. Sometimes I'm very based, and sometimes I'm very cringe, but all the time I'm very epic.
The yin yang of life.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But at least if you take anything from this podcast so far, is that watch Awakenings. That is a legitimately great movie. But if you love No Country for Old Men, then maybe be weary about going into Awakenings, because I think we vastly disagree on what a good movie is. And that's fine. But I really liked Awakenings. So check that out, especially if you're a fan of Robin Williams, because I never heard of it, and it's very good. And also, Robert De Niro is just a cutie. Robert De Niro has this smile. I never see Robert De Niro smile, but like he seems like genuinely happy at points in this movie, and I just like seeing Robert De Niro smile. So, if you want to see that, then check out Awakenings. That's pretty much it. Those are the movies I watched. I'll have more stuff to talk about after the music segment, because I listened to some music this week.
No way.
It's true. But that's all I have. I'm going to pass it on over to Babby for his segment of the show.
Neat. Got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh,
Things been
boy.
happening.
Really?
Music has been releasing and not releasing.
Oh.
I don't know.
Not releasing?
I'm just trying to add drama.
Oh.
Where do we want to start? I don't even know where to start. It's been 2 weeks technically, so this is going to be a lot happened in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if there were any singles I needed to like talk about. I know Lucy had a new single. I'm just going to refrain
Not listening.
from that. Yeah, I'm not listening. I listened to the first two and they were very good, but that's more than enough for me. I don't need to listen anymore. I think the record is like 11 songs or something, so I'm not going to push my luck there. But yeah, so there was that. Any other singles I had? I don't think so.
Kendrick Lamar dropped a single.
Yeah, he did. It's called the Super Bowl's halftime show.
For some reason, they labeled it as a single.
Yeah, that is weird. I didn't even know they like uploaded that stuff.
Didn't know that either. Did Rihanna upload hers?
I don't know.
Because that was last year, right?
No. Last year was Usher. I think it was Usher, right?
Oh, I thought it was Rihanna. Am I bullying?
I don't remember. I think it was Usher, and then it was Rihanna before that, and then it was the LA one with like 6 people. And then it was The Weeknd.
Wait, why was Usher the lead of that one? That doesn't make any sense. It was Usher.
People did enjoy it quite a bit, though. I mean, Usher's got some bangers, and I think he's a pretty dang good performer too.
He hasn't released music in like 10 years.
He has not. No, that was a more like classic Super Bowl pick when it comes to like, here, let's just choose this gigantic pop star.
Sure.
Which is what they typically did for a while before Jay-Z came on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Do we want to talk about Super Bowl right away? I
I don't know.
guess
I just brought it
I'm
up
kind
as
of
a
like,
goof.
yeah, I'm trying to go chronologically, but I don't remember things that are happening chronologically at all.
Oh,
Um, because there was a lot that happened. There was just like a mishmash of a whole bunch of stuff going on. Um, let's talk about Peggy first.
oh,
We'll start there. Um,
okay.
we got the I lay down my life for you director's cut, which is his deluxe edition of that album.
Mm.
Um, and it's okay. um,
Oh,
I
nice.
I will give him credit that like I do enjoy deluxes that reintegrate the new tracks into the original track list, so it works better.
Oh, okay.
Um, I do like that quite a bit. Um, so I think this was his original final version of this album before he kind of like cut it down and made it a little bit more of a cohesive package on the final record, which unlike LP, where I do think the original offline version of LP is like the best version of that album, I think the original version here is better than the deluxe and the
Mm.
pacing of like this OG version. Mostly because like I feel like the deluxe meanders in a lot of weird areas that like aren't very interesting to me. I don't know. This is coming from me, who I think this is his worst album just in general. Which is a hot take. I know this is like this is most popular, and it's the one where a
It
lot of
is?
people kind of fully jumped on. It definitely popularized him big time, but it's less about the actual album and more about just like he was in the spotlight the most at this
Oh,
current time because off of Steering the Hose and the Kanye
yeah.
collaboration. Um, so I think people know him for this album the most if they're coming from a casual perspective.
That
But I
sucks.
mean, it's still enjoyable, but it's not nearly as creative or insightful as a lot of his other records. That I will say this over and over and over again. I don't care. Um, yeah, the deluxe just makes it a little bit even more messy. The songs we do get are very much more in the in your face kind of rock rap style, which I think works well with Protect the Cross, which was kind of his single for this thing. But I don't know. There's a lot of meandering, like New Black History, the ending with like the crazy flume outro that's just really noisy and crazy. That beat like turns into its own song next to it, um, which I honestly don't enjoy that much. I like my brash Peggy production, but that one was just a little bit too much. I don't know. I think just vocally and lyrically, he does not have a lot going on this album, and I still stand by that. Um, I I just don't like the vibe and the tone of it compared to a lot of his other works, where I felt like the writing was much more complex and personal and less bitter and arrogant the entire time, which you can do on a record and it works. But like he's already done that, and I don't know if I need this one still. Um, I do like I Lay Down My Life for You with Buzzy Lee, though. That one's pretty good. Um, Poker Dope is okay. That's another one where it's like, I think that built off of one of the songs off LP, like the ending beat. He made that into a new track. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's a side A and a side B. Side B is more like literal B sides. It's weird that Jihad Joe became a B side on this deluxe edition when it's a main track on the original record.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Overall, it's okay. It's not. I don't know if I ever need deluxes from Peggy. Honestly, I feel like he puts together bodies of work that are fully fleshed out to begin with. Like, there's no need for like extra anything with it. Usually, like what I have is more than enough to mull over for a long time. Um, I think the only like unique case of that is LP, where like literally he could not release the intended version of the album because of sample clearances for like a year or whatever, and then he eventually did. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still feeling mid on this thing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just ready for him to move on to something else. I think after this, I think that for me, I need a palate cleanser for him. Just in general, like I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this entire album cycle and just the attitudes and thoughts and feelings and takes around all of it. I'm
Yes.
tired, and we'll talk about that more later, actually.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's during the non-music but music adjacent section that I have coming
Oh, okay.
up.
Yeah, I
um,
saw all that.
yeah, let's talk Super Bowl. We'll do that next.
Okay.
Kendall Lamar was
And
the
Scissor.
halftime show, and Scissor for about 45 seconds was the Super Bowl halftime performers.
And Sam
Um,
Jackson.
and Samuel L. Jackson,
Yeah.
taking his role as Uncle Sam. which I thought was
That
pretty
was
cool.
great.
It was great. Yeah, this is a controversial halftime show, which I knew it was going to be.
Really?
And I'm not talking controversial from like the white 40-year-olds that watch the Super Bowl and get mad at everything because duh,
Yeah.
like
Well, I
that's
figured
just
they
how
were gonna
those
hate
people
it.
function. Yeah, exactly. I'm just talking more from like a set list perspective and messaging
Oh,
and all that kind of stuff.
it's because it's all
Um,
GNX stuff.
yeah, I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed if they weren't like hardcore Kendrick fans that like the set list wasn't strong enough.
Oh,
But I mean, I disagree. I thought the set list was actually really amazing.
that's fine.
I think as a Super Bowl halftime show, it was solid. It was pretty good. I would put it on the par with like the weekends. I thought the weekends
Sure.
was really great. He had the benefit of having an empty stadium during COVID, so he had like tons of production value going. So
Yeah.
that definitely helped him. But I do think that performance is a little bit better than the Kendrick one, but I think they're pretty close in my eyes. Um, but he had a very different take on it, which was like very storytelling focused, which usually for a halftime show, you play your biggest hits and you make the biggest, most bombastic spectacle you possibly can with as many surprise guests and weird collabs and SpongeBob references and Travis Scott flying down from the ceiling and whatever else you can do within your 15 minutes. But this was very subdued compared to that. It was very choreographed, very spelled out.
Hmm.
Which I did enjoy. I think for Kendrick at this current point, like this is the perfect thing I want from him. I don't need to hear Money Trees again, honestly. Like
Right.
I love hearing that stuff on tour, but like I want to see what he does with this new material. And I think GNX was kind of made for this kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Um, but like starting your halftime show with an unreleased song was crazy. Like I loved that. So that pretty much confirms that we're gonna get that at some point. I don't know if
Well,
it's gonna be like a deluxe. It could come out tomorrow of time of recording
oh, that's
on the
true.
14th to block someone else. Um,
Oh,
but
was there drama?
no, there's a Drake album coming out tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Um, yes,
How have I not heard about
which
that?
I know exactly.
What the hell? What's it
um,
called?
it's a Party Next Door collab album, which is
Oh,
called what is it called? Uh, dollar sign for you, which is stands for some sexy songs for you, I think,
oh,
which
that's
is a
so
very Drake
lame.
album title.
It's so
Oh yeah, absolutely.
lame.
We'll talk about that too. Um, but I did enjoy the choreography and everything. I think PJ Lang like did the entire production setup for this, which is great. I just love what they've been doing so far. Dave Free has just one upped his game constantly. Um, with just set design and color palettes and all these different things. They're just great. I love the use of like it's kind of a PlayStation controller. He's playing the game. He's
Yeah.
in the game. He's doing all these kind of things. And Sam Jackson is kind of here as Uncle Sam to be like uh, the voice of white America slash general public slash whatever of like stay in your lane. Like
Yeah.
this is a halftime show. Keep it chill. And he starts with this unreleased song, goes into Squabble Up, does all of his bangers. A lot of really great like choreography with the dancers, with
Yeah.
American flag imagery and stuff. I thought that was great. His breath control and everything was just phenomenal. He's gotten so good at that. I don't know how you're sprinting across an actual football field and still rapping this entire time.
That's a good point.
Um, I enjoyed too that there was no choruses. He was rapping verses the entire 15 minutes,
Yeah.
except for like a couple spots,
I
which is
think you
like
did
insanely
Humble.
impressive. Yes. And then with SZA, it was Luther
Oh,
and All the Stars.
well,
So there was a
sure.
little bit of a melodic moment there, which was nice. Um, Peekaboo on a national stage was crazy. I'm so happy that that got even. It was like 20 seconds, but I'm like, that's such a crazy song to play at the Super Bowl. Um,
And didn't he do, is it AZ Chikes?
yeah,
He
he
did
wasn't
that
even doing
verse?
his verse; he
Yeah.
was doing the guest verse, which was funny. Um, but yeah, it was kind of this bombastic first part, and then like this kind of mellow, cool, play the hits middle part, where Samuel Jackson's like, "Yeah, that's what we want. Keep it chill, keep the
Yeah.
vibes good," and then it goes into the final act, which consists of well, he played Euphoria too, which is crazy.
Yeah, he did.
The set list is just insane. Um, yeah, we got Euphoria, we got Not Like Us, which he
Hmm.
teased a little bit. I knew that he was going to do that. I'm glad he did that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as self-indulgent as some people are criticizing it as. It just
Really?
won 5 Grammys,
Yeah.
which we also didn't talk about the Grammys. It won 5 Grammys, which is crazy. Um, yeah, he's gonna play his biggest song currently at the Super Bowl. It's gonna
Well,
happen.
yeah.
Um, and I'm so glad he did. It felt very it felt very deserved. And if this wild journey he's been on in the past year, all these things like lined up for him perfectly to get to this point, which is
Yeah.
just wild to think about where we were a year ago when this like was just popping off in a couple of months. Um, but I don't know. Overall, I thought it was pretty strong. I like the TV off ending. I think that was kind of made for the Super Bowl. That
Oh,
verse is literally
yeah.
all football references. So I don't know. There's a lot of like little things in there, and the storytelling was great, and the pacing was really good. I don't think it had like the bombastic energy of usual Super Bowl performances, and it did not have mass appeal, which I think is why there was a little bit more controversy to this. But like, also people criticize the Super Bowl halftime show every single year.
Yeah, it's
Um,
fine.
it is, yeah. One of the craziest, there's two crazy parts that I do think are the best parts of this, and none of them involve Kendrick. Um, the Apple Music intro was playing a Gais Guevara song as the halftime show started, which is just crazy.
I
Like
don't even know who that is.
I just talked about him last week or last
Oh.
podcast when he just had his new album. And he just
Oh.
signed a Fat Possum, and now all of a sudden, like he has a Super Bowl placement at the beginning, which is crazy. I mean, it's just the beat of the old guard is dead. But I heard that I'm like, what is happening? Like, I don't. He confirmed it afterwards too. Like, yeah, that's me. That's I was able to do that,
That's
which is
crazy.
crazy. So shout out him. That was a wild surprise. But yeah, the biggest W is the backup dancer that had the Palestinian and Sudan flag that was pulled that out and ran across the field with it. That was insane.
Oh,
Shout
so
out that guy. Yeah, uh, it was
was
a backup dancer.
was that
Of
authorized or was that like
no,
okay, it was just
completely
some
disconnected.
yeah, yeah.
Kendrick would never say anything about
Yeah.
that. um, yeah, that that was the best part for sure. It got like enough screen time where people saw it and it picked up like major news articles, which was great.
Sure.
Um, and the YouTube video of the performance actually got taken down for a little bit because they had to edit out the 3 seconds of the flag you could
Oh,
see.
yeah, because I
Um,
didn't see it. 'Cause
yeah,
I watched a
yeah,
video.
yep. So that was crazy. Shout out that guy. That was the absolute best part of like the entire thing, I think, overall. Just man, just becoming a backup dancer and doing that and just having the balls to do that, knowing that like you're gonna be
Oh
banned
yeah, you're
from everything like
blackballed.
that forever. Yeah, but like shout out that guy. That was incredible. Um, yeah, I think just like the politics around the whole halftime show thing is like it's not radical or anything. It's just it's within the means of edginess that he's able to do,
Yeah.
and messaging that he's able to do, which is good messaging. It's not
Hmm.
going to be not doing anything insane. I don't think when people call Kendrick like this radical savior or whatever, he's
No.
not. Um, but he is working within his lane pretty well. I do think he could stand for a couple of more things, but I don't really expect that from him. Honestly, he's always been about just like pure artistry as
Hmm.
much as he can get. So I don't dock him too much for it. He doesn't take bad sides to things
No.
a lot. It's usually he does not take a side of things usually.
Yeah, but
But his
he's
backup dancer saved the day.
well, he's fighting on something that like he cares about. He talks a lot
Exactly.
about like issues facing the black community, and I feel
Yep.
like we need a figurehead like that. So I'm not docking him too
Exactly.
much.
No, yeah, he's better than like 99% of the people that you could put up there,
Yeah.
when it comes to that. So I don't really have any complaints with that. I just think when people are saying it's like an overly radical performance and
No.
messaging with this Uncle Sam thing, it's not really for a
No.
Super Bowl halftime show. It's definitely pushing the limits, but that's what Kendrick does, and that's what's expected. The NFL signed off on this. That's all you
Yeah.
really need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty great. I watched it like 3 times. It was very entertaining. It's a very unique show. I loved how much GNX got played and how it wasn't just a run of the mill hits, fireworks,
Well,
whatever they usually do.
well, he played his hits at the other one. So if you want to hear
Exactly.
Kendrick do his like All Right and King
Yeah.
Kunta and Humble, I guess again, then do the other
Yeah.
one.
Watch the pop out.
Yeah.
Which is the pop out was better than this,
Oh,
obviously,
well,
because there's less limitations.
I was
But
talking about the other Super Bowl.
Oh, yes, you could do that as well
Yeah, he
because
already did
he did
his
do
hits
those.
on the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Super Bowl.
Pretty
The
good.
game was okay. I watched like 20 minutes of it. The ads were miserable. The
What?
design of everything was pretty miserable.
Did you not like all the Marvel ads?
You can see that just like the decline of everything going down the toilet right now, just
Yeah.
based off a lot of the ads and messaging and way that people were talking about things this year. It was like
Why?
dystopian
What was
more than
going
it
on?
usually is. All the commercials are very sad. And
Okay.
the ones that weren't sad were very like, I can't tell if this is AI or not,
Hmm.
in a
Oh.
not good way.
Oh
Um,
no.
or they were just very, I don't know. It felt very preachy and pandering for a lot of the stuff, and a lot of them were for like mortgage ads. Like it wasn't like the AI monstrosity that happened a couple years
Oh
ago, where every
yeah.
single ad was an AI ad.
Uh-huh.
But now we're getting AI in the ads, so
Uh
I don't know.
Gross.
It had the vibes were just off, like everywhere. It felt very tinged with some sort of, I don't know. It felt
Yeah.
very weird.
I don't know. Yeah, it feels like the vibes I'm getting from society these
Yeah,
days
we're
remind me a
very.
lot of the 70s.
It's
Like
very
everyone's
downtrodden
sad.
right now. Yeah, which I mean, understandable, but like at the same time, it's a very strange moment with a lot of fascist undertones in the air everywhere.
Undertones?
Undertones in certain areas, overtones in others.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think people realize how much stuff seeps in little things during
Oh,
their
sure.
days.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
that's true.
yeah, but that's Super Bowl. It was okay. The performance was really great, though. That's the only reason I really turned on. So yeah, there you go. Um, let's talk some albums.
Nice.
Well, I will start with the Larry June, Two Chainz and Alchemist collab album that came out last
Oh,
week. Life is Beautiful. Yeah, kind of a little bit of a stacked album here.
yeah.
It's pretty chill. I don't think it's anything crazy or like anything I need to like really dig my teeth into. It's really nice Alchemist beats that are more akin to the more smooth stuff that he does. Larry June does pretty solid. I know a lot of people are like, he's so boring. He can be if it's just an album by himself. But Two Chainz is like a pretty good compliment to him, I think. Two
Yeah.
Chainz was doing really good on this album, actually. There's a couple spots where he's a little spotty, but he was using Alchemist beats really well.
Hmm.
I'm surprised. Um,
Shout
I
out
love
Two
me some Two
Chainz.
Chains.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got great charisma. His voice is fantastic as well. He's getting some bars in there. Um, yeah, it's a pretty solid listen. There's a couple songs where I'm like, like Colossal is like, it doesn't need to be there at all. Um, but I do like the more like yacht rocky kind of Alchemist production that was going on this. I will say like halfway through, a lot of these beats were like, I want Freddie Gibbs on this so bad because if Freddie Gibbs was on this song would be 2 times better. Like these beats would have been absolutely perfect for him. Um, but I will take what we get. I think it's pretty solid. Um, I haven't really had an Alchemist album to like really write home about since probably Void Dire from 2013. Um, it's been solid since. I think Faith is a Rock with Mike was pretty solid, but I'd actually take Mike over his own production
Hmm.
instead. But there's been a lot of just okay things that he's been doing. He has kind of taken a delve into a lot of like producing and rapping, which is nice. He's just kind of mixing it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think he'll probably have one with Boldy James coming out later this year because Boldy James drops an album every week. So there's got to be an Alchemist one in there somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Um, I haven't talked about Boldy James in a while, but since we've last talked about him on the podcast, I think he's dropped 6 albums. So
What? 6?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe a mixtape in there.
That's
Yep,
crazy.
5. None of them are very good, which is why I haven't talked about any of them.
Oh, that sucks.
I think he overworked himself a little bit. He
Oh, probably.
he recovered in the hospital from, I forgot, I think he was in a car accident or something.
Oh.
Something happened. Oh yeah, because that was penalty of leadership that he was first talking about that in early 2024.
Oh.
After that, I think he was just rubber to the road and was just making, and none of them was really sticking for me. So,
Oh.
but he has another one coming out at the end of the month, so maybe there's another redemption there somewhere.
Somewhere.
Um, but it's a little bit of an oversaturation. I'm not gonna lie. I love Bully James, but calm down. I don't need a new album every 2 weeks.
No.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a break and go into like stuff that will be coming out. I'm kind of all over the place today
That's
because there's a lot
fine.
of stuff to cover. Um, let's talk about stuff that was announced, slash coming out, slash that kind of thing. Um, Black Country New Road. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but
I think you
comes out on
did.
April 4th. So I'm just excited for it.
Yeah.
Bon Iver, new album.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's
It's real.
real.
And it's pretty much what we thought it was going to be, actually. Um, so it is Sable Fable. Got the comma worked in there. I'm glad. I'm glad he got it in there. Um, yeah, this comes out April 11th. Very excited.
Yeah.
So basically, what this is a 2-disc album. The first disc is the EP, and then
Mm,
that leads into the second disc, which is Fable, which is
gotcha.
the new album part, which I think is actually works pretty good because that EP is really great, and I was
Oh
just
yeah.
hoping for more of it. So this is a cool way to kind of lead people into it because award season ends and there's a start of a new song, so it makes sense
That's
that
true.
that's yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think
Um,
about that.
so very excited. The EP cover is just flipped here, so we got this big, beautiful salmon with a black square. Um,
Yeah, it's really
the
pushing.
merch has been pretty fantastic. I don't know if I'm going to buy the shirt or not, but there's a gigantic salmon shirt with a big old fish on it, and I love it.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, I almost worked at that print shop. In a alternate universe, I would have been responsible for that fish shirt probably.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, very excited for this. We will obviously cover this on the channel. Good thing
yeah.
we've held off on the Bon Iver discography review because I had a feeling this was coming.
Yeah.
He's done enough teasing. Like there's been these weird live streams and stuff he's been doing on the website, and he gets all cryptic with it. So I'm glad there's finally just like here it is.
How are we gonna
Um,
do that though?
I don't know because we have heard the first 4.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of want to just like listen to the whole thing again though.
That's
I'm fine
yeah.
with re-listening
Yeah, I'm
to
fine with it
those.
too. Yeah. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But yeah, very excited. I think the description of it that they kind of wrote up with it was that like they were talking about like more pop centric on Fable, which is interesting to me.
Mm.
Um, I'm interested to see like what he does with that, which makes sense. Like this cover is very striking compared to like his other main records. All those are kind of they got the kind of folksy artsy thing about them, but this is like very stark. Um,
Yes.
it's very much in the brat era of pop at this point. So I'll be interested to see what it sounds like. But very excited. I'm glad he's back. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
That EP was great. It wasn't enough. So this will be the complete picture. All
Uh,
right. Let's talk about the Drake album.
Drake.
Yeah. Also, there's a Bon Iver single that'll come out, so we'll talk about that next week.
Oh,
At least I will.
I'm not gonna listen
Um,
to it.
yeah, I figured. um, although you didn't listen to Space Side and you punched yourself for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, so this Party Next Door and Drake collab album. Some sexy songs for you.
I hate that.
Yep. Guess how many tracks there are on it?
Oh no. Is it over under the weekend?
It is under by 1.
Oh, nice. That's what I like to hear.
So still probably going to be, I think it's like 74 minutes because it's a Drake album and you can't do less than an hour and a half because then you're not getting enough songs in to get enough streaming and charting numbers.
I hate this man so
Yeah,
much. He's
me
the
too.
worst.
It's, yeah. I'm interested to see. I like can almost hear what this album sounds like in my head already. Um, I don't know how he is gonna kind of maneuver. I don't think he'll continue to do his thing or whatever. I'm interested to see if the numbers adjust or anything. They
Mm,
probably will by a little bit, but not enough to be like a huge like oh my god. Um,
yeah, I
I don't
don't
know.
know. I feel like public favor has really switched up on Drake.
It definitely has, but there's also a large swath that doesn't care.
Oh, that's true.
There's also a large swath where like I'm gonna listen to it on day 1 because I want to hear what Drake has to say.
Oh,
There's a
that's
lot of people
true.
that do that and then don't return to the album, so it loses sales still because people give it a listen,
That's
which
yeah.
I might do if I'm hating myself enough because I've done it with every
That's
Drake
true.
record.
I don't know why you keep
Um,
doing that.
I don't know. I like to kind of if I'm gonna be a hater, I want to be thorough. That's
Mm,
kind of my thing, even though I don't really need to when it comes to Drake. Everything's kind of pretty formulaic, and you can kind of tell what everything's going to sound like before you hit play.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's already controversy though because the cover was like, first of all, he's using dollar signs in the thing, and the cover has like these kind of like rabbits on it. Freddie Gibbs has Soul Sold Separately, which literally is with dollar signs and has a gigantic rabbit featured on the cover, so it's pretty similar. So glad
Oh,
Drake hasn't dropped a beat when it comes to
stealing.
ripping off other things. So
It's what he does.
it's what he does best.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will probably sound very mid. It'll probably have a couple of songs that chart pretty well and gain some popularity for a while. Probably be a lot of questionable bars that you'll see quoted on Twitter for about a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
It'll have some sneak disses to some people and have a lot of self pitying probably,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe some R&B jams. That's
Maybe
what you're gonna get
if we're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, track list standing out. Track 5 called Spider-Man Superman with dollar signs, which is just terrible to look at.
Is he going for a vultures thing? Why is he doing the dollar sign thing?
I don't know. Track 10 is called Give Me a Hug, which I thought is funny. There's one called Celibacy. Mothballs.
This is getting worse. Every single thing you're saying is making this worse in my head.
Yeah. Meet Your Padre. How about that one?
No, isn't he the Poppy? Shouldn't he be Meet Your Poppy?
It should be. I don't know. Maybe it's Party Next Door song. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I'll talk about that next week if I do listen to it, and if not, I'll just talk about what other people are saying because gotta engage in the discourse. Yeah, that's pretty much it there. Speaking of discourse, let's talk about Kanye.
Oh, do we have to?
I'm just gonna say, like, I've been saying this for like 3 years, and I don't need to like update it with anything because I've been saying this, and I'm just surprised on the amount of people that took it this far before they're like, okay, I'm sorry, I won't listen to him anymore. I was wrong. He's gone.
This is the line. He was on InfoWars.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he was on InfoWars. He did this like 3 years ago, and then dropped 2 albums, and then everybody got mad when like when people were like, this is absolute garbage. Like you literally could not be over the age of 15 and think that was good music. Yeah, it's interesting. It was just funny being on like Twitter that day because like, first of all, I was like heavily on many different drugs from surgery, and things were just popping off constantly. So Peggy was going on like 3 different tirades over something because he keeps opening his mouth and digging himself a hole because his horrible politics keep popping up. And then Kanye starts going off, and then they're both going off. So my timeline looks like Elon Musk saying something stupid, a Donald Trump thing happening.
No.
Kanye saying he to call him Adolf Hitler or whatever he said, and then Peggy like also going off on something, and I'm like, this is truly the best thing right now. Is this app right now is just it's so Jover. But yeah, he basically just like went off, said every weird thing that you could possibly say.
Basically every slur,
every Nazi thing, sold a Heil Hitler shirt. Said free Diddy.
What he was saying something. Oh geez, what was it? It was like, it might have been the free Diddy thing. Where I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, this doesn't have anything to do with anything else. So then it's
he's just looking for attention. He's just having an episode and looking for attention. But yeah, I hope it's just over at this point. Like, please stop giving this man attention.
It's bad. It's like,
it's cruel.
Yeah.
Like, he's a horrible person. Just let him be. And
at this point, I don't even know, like, yes, these things are so deplorable, but like, is he okay? Like,
no, he hasn't been okay for a long time.
But this is like really bad. Like, I know that this, like, whatever, the writing was on the wall for a while. I'm right there with you, but it's just like, this is like a turn. This is like, what's going on?
Yeah, this has been a long time coming. I think just like publicly airing these things makes it a little bit more apparent to people, but he's involved in like a ton of lawsuits for sexual harassment for all
Yeah,
these different companies and assistants he's had and
that
all
yeah,
these
that's
different
true.
things. So things will continue to come out most likely. Um, he talked about like owning his wife or something, and now they're getting divorced, which is just funny.
And
Um,
what's with her being naked all the time?
oh yeah, yeah, the whole
Is
naked Grammys thing. We didn't
is
talk about the Grammys at all. That happened too, and we didn't talk about it.
is
What we'll get to that
is this like a thing? Is he like is that like part of the
So
ownership thing?
it's a weird thing because like a lot of people say like that's just how she's always been, like that's just kind of her thing.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, when you add Kanye into the mix, like I'm sure he eggs it on more
Oh yeah.
because yeah, I mean this is the guy that was like streaming porn to like Adidas employees during conference meetings. Like
It's so
he
gross.
he is so far gone, and
Uh
it's just yeah. Um, so yeah, that was the thing. And then Peggy was just going off about something else, and then he had to be like, I don't agree with Ye's politics, and I never really have, and we have a different viewpoint. And I'm like, dog, you literally collabed with him
yeah.
last year.
He was
Like
already
the
saying
the
this.
the Hitler stuff was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Peggy's the new Kanye in my eyes because he does do the Twitter tirades, but like he doesn't say anything too off the wall or anything. He just annoys me because he's very inconsistent and then lashes out because he can't take any criticism. But that's kind of what Kanye used to do before he
Yeah. Who know,
really unchecked mental illness goes crazy. So
maybe in 20 years we'll be saying the same thing about Peggy.
I hope not. I feel like he has a little bit more of a head on his shoulders, but who knows? Um, my gripes with Peggy are very different than Kanye and are
Yeah.
not on the same pedestal at all. But
No.
it's still something where it's like, dog, you just need to learn when to keep it shut sometimes.
And don't
Not saying
associate.
that you not saying that you shouldn't voice your opinion or anything, but sometimes you dig yourself your own hole and I have no
Mhm.
choice to just like baseball.
Yeah,
And
just
it doesn't make me feel great.
don't say just stop talking on
Just stop
Twitter
talking.
and stop associating with Nazis. Like
Yes.
it's that easy.
Stop associating with Nazis and then going on Twitter being like, I've always stood up for LGBT and women and I've always stood
Uh
on this. I'm like, yeah,
uh-huh.
then why are you working with him? I get
Yeah.
he's your idol or whatever, but that is not the same person that you were idolizing. At least I hope it's not. So
Well, yeah,
and that
hopefully.
album is garbage. So you didn't even do anything good to contribute to it. You threw it all away for that. Like a a sizable portion of your audience that has been with you for a long time, including me,
Mhm.
like completely got turned off when you did that. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
for his worst album, an unlistenable album.
Did Peggy produce the song that Kanye was just mumbling on?
I think he produced like the first song, which is like
Oh.
Stars, and he worked on drum programming. That's all he really did. He wasn't even on like a majority of it, but he made a big deal about like working on it. Even the photo that they took together, Kanye was wearing a Burzum t-shirt. Peggy knows that Burzum, the front guy, is a neo-Nazi.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's bad.
So I've
Jesus.
said my piece about this over and over again. It was just funny that those two are going on a fun tirade at the same time. But,
Oh,
yeah. Although we did have the Grammys this year, and besides the naked Kanye wife thing, the Grammys were actually pretty good in terms of like uh who got the awards and stuff. Like I thought
really?
this was a really, really, really good Grammys compared to like a lot of the other years. Um,
Interesting.
Taylor Swift won nothing, which is great because if she won anything for Tortured Poets Department, it's
Oh, yeah.
stop. Like I can understand Midnights and Folklore and stuff like that.
Sure.
There's merit to those albums. Um, Tortured Poets Department was just a blatant chart grab.
Hmm.
Um, but Doechii won Best Rap Album, which is incredible.
Shout out Dochi.
Yep, she is really rising to the top here. Her Grammys performance too was really fantastic. Um, she's really got that Kendrick and Tyler energy going, where she's really just taking command of all this, like very early on in her career too, which is great. So shout out. Um, Album of the year, Beyonce, which I'll take.
I'll take
Cowboy
that.
Carter,
Yeah.
yeah, very solid album. Would I have liked it to go to Brat? Yeah, or Chapel Roan probably, but I think Beyonce kind of deserves it. She's been kind of like tiptoeing around that for a while, so I'm glad they finally gave it to her.
Yeah.
Um, Kendrick won all of his awards for Not Like Us, so that's 5. I think it was best music video, best record, best song.
And he was
Yeah,
nominated
song of the year.
twice in some of those
Crazy.
categories for Like That too.
Yeah, exactly. So swept there, which is surprising. Like taking song of the year for that is crazy.
It feels it's the song of the year though.
It is though. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a victory lap though. It's just won 5 Grammys, Super Bowl performance the next weekend. Like
Yeah,
that's and then world tour right after that. And who knows if there's a deluxe on the horizon.
that's
That's
true.
a crazy moment for his career right now.
And
And
Drake's
I don't know.
dropping a bloated
He's just doing
album
his
with the
thing.
worst,
Yeah, he's doing the same
the worst song titles I've ever heard.
thing. Yep. But yeah, I love his resurgence and kind of being in the spotlight more right now. I think PJ Lang, I'm just vibing with the entire vision of that area so far.
Yeah.
It's seeming pretty good. Yeah, it was a pretty good Grammys. I was surprised when I was watching. I didn't watch any of it, besides like a couple of performances. Um, but as I was seeing the awards come in, I'm like, wow, they actually did that right. Like Brat won best dance electronic album.
Oh, well,
I think the only thing I would have liked to see is Knocked Loose win their best metal song, but I think they lost to Gojira,
mhm.
unfortunately. But they got nominated at least a step forward. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was cool. We had the SZA SZA Deluxe to Lana Deluxe, SOS Deluxe. She added 4 more tracks to Lana on the Super Bowl, like the day of the
She
Super Bowl.
did?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So let me look. How many songs are on this thing now? Yeah, it's
What?
called SOS Deluxe Lana Expanded. So now there is
It didn't need any more songs.
2 songs on this album. I don't do it.
No.
It's not good. I love SOS, and I'm like really just trying to blank out that this whole Lana thing happened, and so I can just enjoy SOS.
Yeah, especially since at the Super Bowl, like she is like she knocked it out of the park. She was taking all
She
sorts
absolutely
of
did.
like great
Yeah.
runs and stuff. I'm like, damn, she still got it. Why didn't you do that on Lana?
Who knows? But just wanted to mention it. So there's more songs. Will there be more songs? I don't know.
I hope not.
Maybe. I hope not. There can't be anything left in the tank for that. Um, it's got to be impossible for that to happen. Like, there's no way you have more. But yeah. Okay, couple more things. Let's talk about Big Mike.
Big Mike.
Showbiz, new album, Big Mike. Um, this is so good. Mike is just, he warms my heart. He truly is an artist that I'm so glad I'm like really getting into. I think just like him and like Navy Blue and this kind of area of hip hop is just, I love it so much. The consistency has been phenomenal. I mean, I need to go like back to like disco and everything, but like from Beware the Monkey forward, it's been nothing but bangers. But yeah, this is Showbiz. It is 47 minutes, like 24 songs. You can do 24 tracks if you're Mike because they're all like
Well,
2-3 minutes.
yeah, that's
and it's
fine.
less than an hour and a half. It's perfectly fine. And they all flow great. Yeah, the production on here is fantastic. It has this really cool, I don't want to say 80s, but like kind of Michael Jackson-esque kind of vibes along with a lot of it and these vocal samples and snippets. And it all, I'm
Oh no,
amazed by like, am I cutting out?
you cut
Am I
out a
back?
little bit there.
Yeah, my internet always hates when I do podcasts. So I don't know why. Should just record my own audio track like a real podcast, but we'll get there.
Eventually.
Yeah, his lyricism is just always really great, and it's one that you don't really pick up on unless you like really, really deeply listen. I think that's one of my favorite qualities about him is you can just turn it on and vibe out, and like kind of pay attention, but kind of just really take in the production and the flow. But if you really sit down and like go through the lyricism, it is just so dense and fantastic and layered. And it's a really cool thing to kind of balance out. I find a lot of his tracks like it is almost like just a mishmash of the vocal track and the sample to just create like one homogenous sound that just sounds so good. But yeah, all the little transitions and the things between tracks are fantastic. The Man in the Mirror through Artist of the Century run, that little two piece I kind of characterize them as, is really fantastic. Um, Belly One is amazing. It's just like a little minute 35 track, but it's so potent. The bass on that song is so good. Um, Pieces of a Dream, which was like the lead single to this thing before it was like known as a lead single, I was like a little iffy on because it had this vocal sample that was way too loud and it was drowning out his voice. But they fixed the mix on that here, and now it's one of my favorites. I think it works really well. You're the Only One Watching is the other single, which is just great as well. And then that Lucky through like Burning House, like track 13 through 19 is just perfect. Like, oh, a mic record is just a treat to dig into. Like some people will probably find it annoying because it is a lot of minute and a half sample loop tracks with his flow on top of it. But when you really kind of just chill out and just really let it take you as a full sonic experience, it pulls you in so many different great directions, and it's got great emotions and vibes to it.
Yeah.
Um, and lyricism's pretty great too. Mike's one of those artists where like if you're stoned, the music is 10 times better because I think it was made while in that state and it functions while in that state as well.
Sure.
Um, it's great. It's fantastic. So, yeah, one of my favorites this year so far. It is just top class from him. No signs of any slowing down. In fact, I think his production continues to evolve. Um, I think I put this. It's weird because I don't have a favorite album from him. I think Showbiz, Burning Desire, and Beware the Monkey are all exactly equal in that they're all fantastic. Um, Beware the Monkey, I will say, is incredibly consistent. So I still love that thing.
It's
But
great.
yeah, check it out. Showbiz is fantastic. And then I did want to talk about Hurry Up Tomorrow just a little bit.
Okay.
So
I've
we
been
did a
thinking about it
reaction.
too.
Good. I was hoping you would have because we did that video and I didn't feel great about how I felt about it.
Okay.
So I listened to it. I listened to it 3 times that day, I think,
Wow.
which was surprising to me because it's a long album. It's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But I just kind of put it on while playing games and stuff. And yeah, I think the flow and the transition of the album like literally saved it for me. I think the first reaction actually butchered what this album actually is.
Interesting.
Because I think I was having a lot of issues connecting. Like the songs didn't feel complete when we were doing the first reaction. It felt very kind of dull almost.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was listening on my own and the way the tracks flow into each other and the different like segments it takes, everything works really well. Like the tracks kind of blended together in a way that worked really well. I think just the sin of like the first reaction format, we couldn't get Baptized in Fear into Open Hearts when that is like I think the best part of the album. That transition point between those two tracks are just incredible. Um, those are the kind of fireworks that I was like not getting in the first reaction, but when I got that on other listens, I was really into it. Um, I still have the same criticisms of like the middle of the album could definitely be trimmed up. I think we could lose probably 6 or 7 songs,
Uh,
and then it would be pretty solid. But the beginning and end of this thing are great. I was having such a good time just like listening on my own and just taking in the over the top, overproduced, like just ear candy of all this thing. It works great. It's fantastic. Um, I'm still like not ranking it over After Hours or Dawn FM by
oh
any
no,
means.
no.
Um, but it is a good album, and I do think I feel a lot more positively about it now than I did in the first reaction. Um, my only other issue with this is he did release the vinyl that is 2 LP with it is when it is the full album. But people bought like there was like 6 different versions of this album with different cover art from
Mm,
different artists. You don't get this album. You get 11 tracks. And a lot of the songs aren't on it, and some of them that are on that vinyl version aren't even on this record.
really?
So that feels kind of scammy to me. I don't know how I feel about that. Because that's not the album. That's like the first version of the album, which is what it says on the
Oh.
website now.
Oh.
So I don't like that.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay, I didn't know that.
If you're gonna do all that, you got to make sure you actually put the full album on that on there.
Well, yeah, like I imagine like a bunch of people bought those album covers because they like the
Hmm.
artists. Like
Yeah.
I thought about getting the Frank Miller one because I
Yeah, it
like
was cool.
Frank Miller. But wow, yeah, you only get 11 tracks.
Yep. That's it.
That's half that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's not even it's sequenced differently. A lot of the tracks that are on there are like very interesting tracks of how you. It's interesting to see his first draft of the album. I'm curious to see if it actually sounds better. But like Without a Warning is like track 2, when like that's like the second to last song on the main
Oh,
record. So I don't think Wake Me Up is on it all either, which is
what the
crazy.
hell? That's the.
Yeah.
I love that song.
hmm So that's a little weird. I don't feel great about that.
I don't either.
But I don't know. It's a solid album. I just wanted to like clear the air because I do feel like I enjoy it a lot more than
Okay.
came off in that video. I was just like, I had like 4 editors notes when I was editing that. I'm like, oh man, I messed up.
Oh no. Did you put
But
that in the video?
I did.
Okay.
I'm like, I have things to say because
That's good.
I think the first reaction format killed me in that one. I think that was truly it.
That's fair.
And it was a marathon. It was a long
It
album.
was a long one. I think didn't it take like almost 3 hours?
That was a 3-hour recording.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean by the end of it, I think we were all just like really tired, but
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. So, I haven't listened to it since the reaction because it left me with such a bad taste in my mouth that I'm like I don't want to put myself through it and it's so long. I guess maybe in my head I'm like, well, it's 3 hours because that's how long we spent with it.
Yeah.
So maybe I just need to get back to it. But what I've
yeah.
been thinking about is Sao Paulo, and because I've been going back to Graceland over the next the last couple of days, and I'm like, why is it when The Weeknd did Sao Paulo or when Drake did all of his dance hall stuff, why does that feel exploitative or that he's like they're riding the wave? But why does it when Paul Simon go over to Africa and makes like an album with a bunch of African music, why does that feel fine?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know the answer. I was going to bring it to the group or to you and see is there a difference in your mind or is Paul Simon a hack?
So I wasn't very fond of Graceland. I need to re-listen to it.
Okay.
That was a hot take I had when we did our original
Yeah,
thing for this channel.
that's true.
But that was a long time ago. I think my music opinions in general have shifted big time.
Yeah.
Considering the Banana album is one of my favorites of all time, and in that video I gave it like ranked like 45 or something.
Yeah, we were both not positive on that
Yeah,
one.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think it comes from like a beyond like your mind thinking about it. I think it just comes strictly in like the vibe of the music. Like
Sure.
it's a subconscious thing, I guess, where it's like if something is working, it's truly working, and if it's not, then it's not. Like I don't know if there's an answer for it.
Yeah.
I feel like you can tell when someone's trying too hard, and
Oh, that's true.
without like much like thought, I feel like you can tell when there's like this feels off.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like I think I re listened to Sao Paulo and I'm like, this isn't it. Like this feels like he's like pandering to that audience.
Yeah, I enjoy Sao Paulo, but it doesn't feel like a weekend song.
No. But I don't know. I was looking at like Graceland and I'm sorry to derail this weekend thing. But I was like looking
I
at
was
all.
pretty much done with it. So
Oh, okay. Okay. But I was looking at the features and I'm like, I was clicking on their Spotify pages and I know I've been over this before, but a lot of these people that are featured on Graceland don't have any other things on Spotify. And I'm like,
yeah,
in a way, this album kind of acts as like a historical artifact of what South Central African music was like in the early 80s. And that's cool because like a lot of these artists that are on here, we don't have that readily available. So like in a way, these are the only ways that we're going to be able to listen to that music. I'm like, that's kind of cool and special. And I don't know. I don't know if I like completely have wrapped my head. Maybe it's just white guilt or something. I don't know. But I'm like, why does this feel okay? This feels like Paul Simon went over there and like lifted that group up and gave them a pedestal. But like because Drake and The Weeknd did that too. Like they have artists that are in those genres in
Hmm.
the songs that they do, but it feels different, and I'm not entirely sure why.
Yeah, I think with Drake, it's more of a this is not for me. It's I'm catching a trend before it's a trend because he's really good at that,
Yeah,
and it's very exploitative and it's meant to be. I think with The Weeknd, it's a little different because I think he does genuinely have an interest in that type of music,
probably.
and I think it did fit into like him doing the first hearing of this album in that city, so it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't feel authentic to what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
So like thematically it works, but it's not like a I don't think it's a authentic representation of what that kind of music is. After listening to Arca and all those kind of things,
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like you have to go in with like a Graceland was made specifically. Paul Simon went in like with no expectation of like lifting or like making himself get these styles like for himself. It was like
That's true.
this is purely a highlight and that's it. Like
That's
I'm
true.
not gonna try to one up or westernize any of this,
Yeah. That
which I think
is
is
true.
very rare.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. And like my favorite song on Graceland is Homeless, which is like almost a cappella, but Simon is barely in it. It's just
Hmm.
like this chorus, the group that is it's Ladysmith Black Mambazo, and they're basically just doing their own thing. And I'm like, this absolutely rules. And they have like nothing else on Spotify. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. I'm glad
Hmm.
that this exists. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just coming to terms with it, I guess. I don't know if coming to terms is the right thing. It's just raised a lot of questions that I don't quite know the
Yeah,
answers
it's
yet.
an interesting question though, because like if you think of like druggy kind of sad boy music, like if you listen to like a Mac Miller song and then listen to like a I don't know, it's not a great comparison, but like more of like the uh Juice World, Trippy Red kind of style of like druggy sad boy music, it's
Sure.
completely different in a terms of like Mac Miller feels authentic while the other two can feel like underbaked. I don't know.
Hmm.
It's a weird thing. I think it's just like viewing authenticity through like a weird lens where we kind of like put that we're able to kind of subconsciously appoint that to a certain piece of something.
Yeah,
Some things just come across very pretentious or fake. And
that's
sometimes
true.
that's not great.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting prompt. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I said no feedback on No Country for Old Men, but I would like feedback on this.
Mhm.
Like what are other people thinking about when it comes to
Or
appropriation?
another example, because I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of examples that I just can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, like other like positive examples cuz
Yeah.
Graceland is the only one that I can think of where I'm like
Hmm.
this feels cool. But I can't think of any others. Does does Caroline Polachek's Sunset count? I don't think that
No,
counts.
that's just a continuation of the genre.
That's true.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's anything outside of like her lane.
Then yeah, I don't have any other examples.
Sufjan doing Hotline Bling.
I don't know if I would label that a good example. Although
No.
I've been listening to that album a bunch, and
Oh yeah, I love
it's
the live
great.
album.
Yeah. Uh, I don't really like the Hotline Bling though.
No, I always skip that,
Okay.
which
Well,
is good because it's the last song. So
yeah. I'm glad that we agree on that at least. But it has like more streams than like half of the songs.
it does. I think it's just is a shock factor.
Well, sure. See Hotline Bling on a Sufjan Stevens album. I would click on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, um, well, do you have more music stuff to say?
I think that's it. I've
What's
just
up?
been jamming at these things. Yeah.
Okay. I do want to shout out Emotion Heap. I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Is it
It sounds
Imogen?
cool. I think
Imogen?
it's Imogen, but that sounds stupid.
I'm gonna say Emotion Heap. Because she's on the Billboard for the first time ever. I think maybe
Oh,
Frou Frou was on the charts at some
That makes
point,
sense.
but she's never been on it herself. Headlock, the first song on Speak for Yourself, now has almost 150 million streams as of right now. It's almost past Hide and Seek. I don't know if it blew up on TikTok or something,
It probably did.
but for the first time ever, like that album is in the top 100. So,
Although I feel like that album was just way too ahead of its time, where the
oh
time is
yeah.
now here with Charlie and FKA
Oh,
Twigs
yeah, that's
and
true.
Caroline.
Yeah. So I just wanted to shout out Emotion Heap. She's now ranked on Spotify. She's
That's crazy.
406. That's fun. If you're just getting into Emotion Heap, well, first of all, listen to that whole album because it's great.
Yeah.
We have a reaction to it. And then also her follow-up, Ellipse. Check out First Train Home. Listen to like the first 4 songs.
And then stop.
You don't have to stop. It's just not very good. It's not as consistent as Speak for Yourself. But First Train Home, I would, and this is very high praise, I would take First Train Home over like half of the songs on Speak for Yourself, and I love Speak for Yourself.
Okay.
I think Speak for Yourself might be like a top 5 album for me. So when I say I really like First Train Home, that I mean it. So that's all I have to say about that. Shout out Emotion.
Yeah, I think she just interviewed FKA Twigs for her new album too. So I think that might be part of
Oh,
her
maybe.
boost as well. Because that album is very emotion-y in points.
Is it?
Yeah.
But you don't think that I would like that, right?
No.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's fair.
I mean, I've been surprised before, but I don't think so.
Okay. I'll probably be okay then. But
It's Emotion Heap, but it's as much Bjork as Emotion Heap. So
oh,
you
okay.
kind of gotta,
Never
there's a give
mind.
and take there. Yeah.
Never mind then. But I did listen to the hit John Denver album Back Home Again
Yo.
for seemingly no reason. I don't really remember why. I think I just saw it.
Do you like the Green Goblin mask?
I guess. I don't really listen to John Denver. But for some reason, I was just like, I should listen to a John Denver album. And so then I just picked the one that had the big hits on it. And by big hits, I mean, Thank God I'm a Country Boy and Annie's song, not the Country Road song. I don't know what album that's on. But this album's pretty solid. Honestly, I wasn't expecting very much. And there's some like really hokey country songs on here, and I don't really like those. But like Back Home Again, On the Road, Matthew, Annie's song, and This Old Guitar are great. They're like really, really great soft rock songs. When he delves into the country stuff, I kind of check out. I don't really like the twang, especially on the song Grandma's Feather Bed. That's just a song about how he loves jumping on his grandma's feather bed when he was a kid. And there's a line where he kisses his aunt. I don't really know why. He's like, I even kissed Aunt Lou. Ew. And then the song continues. I'm like, I didn't need to know that you smooched your aunt, John Denver. But I've just been looking at John Denver's biography, and he just seems like a really good person. He was like an activist, an environmentalist. Just seems like just a genuinely nice guy. So, shout out John Denver, I guess. Listen,
John Denver.
John Denver. He has some good tracks. That John Denver. I think I tried listening to like half of Rhymes and Reasons, which is like his first one. It does have a song called The Ballad of Richard Nixon, but I didn't get that far. Which I guess it came out in 1969, so it would have been very relevant. I guess it's still kind of relevant, but the song's 4 seconds long, so I have no idea what it says. It's shorter than a vine, but yeah, that's the music I listen to.
Great.
What was the first one? I don't remember the first thing. Oh, Graceland, and then Back Home Again. I've been on a 70s kick, and I notice that I do this whenever things are let's say, troubled, where I'm
Hmm.
like, I need to go back to my comfort zone. The
Yeah, I do that too.
the like old 70s soft rock folk. Because I've been listening to like Bridge Over Troubled Water too and
Hmm.
Tapestry, and I'm just like, I'm fully in it. I was like listening to the Eagles the other day, and I haven't listened to the Eagles since 2019. I'm like, oh geez, things are really bad if I'm like going way back. Um, but I guess we don't have to talk about that. Oh, well, I guess I I don't know. I just found out that they changed the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm very pissed. I found out about that like an hour ago, and I don't know how
Yeah,
long ago
Google
that
did
happened.
3 days ago.
3 days ago. Okay,
I think so.
I just found out. Well, it wasn't Google that did it. It
Or they were
was
one of the first ones to do it.
yeah. There was like a internal document that the Trump administration did where they were going to refer to it as the Gulf of America, and then Google and Apple changed it. Just for us though.
Yeah.
And I'm just confused because I thought words had meaning, especially geographical words. Um,
Nope.
I just don't understand. Is it like, and I don't want to like state the obvious, but like that's racist, right? I just
Um,
I just want to make that crystal clear.
yeah, I think it's just American exceptionalism,
Yeah,
which is often racist.
but if they're like, because these are the folks that hate the Mexicans. So
Uh,
are they just like, well, we can't have the Gulf of Mexico. We have to call it the Gulf of America. Even though I'm pretty sure Mexico touches more of the Gulf than America does.
well, yeah, when it was originally named the Gulf of Mexico, that was before,
Well, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
Mexico
that's true.
actually covered most of that
And
Gulf.
yeah, it was like all of Texas and
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good
No, I think it's
point.
just kind of like a easy bait to throw to supporters. So they're like, "Yay, he's doing the thing I wanted to do," while dismantling everything else that
Yeah.
will affect them, and soon.
I
So
I did see that there was there was like a Republican Congress person or something that said that they were gonna once they take Greenland, they were gonna name it Red, White, and Blue Land,
oh yeah, I did see that.
which
Yeah.
is pretty sick.
Hmm.
It's not convoluted and hard to say at
No,
all.
it would be super easy to say.
Red, White, and Blue Land. Uh, yeah, but that okay. I'm sorry. I don't want to like grandstand or whatever, but Greenland, the name of that has like historical roots that go back thousands of years. And
Yeah.
I'm super pissed off because I'm Norwegian and shit, we did that. We pulled a giant trick on everybody. And now we're gonna call it there's Iceland and red, white, and blue land. That's just lame. What would Leif Erikson say?
Inga dinga dargan.
Probably. I don't know. I don't know why this is what I'm pissed off about.
Yeah, I was gonna
Geography.
say like,
I'm pissed
I
off
mean,
about geography.
well, I mean, it's working on you, I guess, because that is part of it.
Well,
you
I'm
know,
mad
there is
about
this.
everything else too. It's
Well,
just this is
yeah, it's clown show fascism where you focus on the stupid stuff while the actual terrible stuff is kind of happening a little bit
yeah.
underneath the curtain.
Uh, I mean, I know about all that, and
Yeah.
I'm angry, but I'm like, what the hell? This is
No, yeah,
so
it's all just
stupid.
hits and plays and whatever else. Yeah. Just
uh,
focus on how fast tech companies are leaning into this. So just be aware as you go amongst your life and how easy the tech companies are able to sway into this.
I know they're all kissing the ring. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. That's what it is. They're kissing the ring. I'll kiss the ring too. If Donald
For a
Trump,
price.
yeah, I mean, I'm down to get bought. I'm so easy. Honestly, I'm so down bad right now. If Donald Trump like sent me a check for 2K, I think I would be like his biggest supporter on this
I'd vote
podcast.
for him again.
Yeah, and I voted for him 5 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I used to be a liberal. I was
Exactly.
just used to it.
I just change my politics every 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I just
Keep 'em on our toes.
I vote for the oldest white guy on the ballot.
Oh, I
So
see.
I was gonna vote for Joe
That's
Biden, but
true.
then he dropped out. So then I had to vote for the other oldest
That's
white guy.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
There'll always be an older one.
Well, usually.
Chuck Grassley should run.
Somehow. I don't know.
He'll be our first 95-year-old president.
If he runs, I'll vote for Chuck Grassley. What does it matter? My vote doesn't matter. No vote matters ever.
No,
I've gotten completely disillusioned with literally
because that's the
everything.
correct answer. I'm glad more people are realizing that.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been on that wave. Like,
Besides horrible liberals that are like, you know, how do you feel about Gaza now that he's gonna like ethnically cleanse it, and like, you people are disgusting.
how do I
Like, it's all just
wait?
no. They're like making fun of like people who didn't vote for Kamala because
Oh,
of the genocide, because now Trump is just gonna do it, which we knew was gonna happen
it
anyways.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, people are stupid.
It doesn't. Both sides were going to ethnically
Exactly.
cleanse Gaza. Remember when Kamala? There was a bunch of Palestinian protesters. Well, they weren't
Yeah, the thing that
Palestinian.
lost her Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she was like, "If you want Trump to win, you need to be quiet or something."
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. I'm Kamala. It's like it doesn't matter. Literally nothing that we do ever matters, and you should just kill yourself.
And
Probably.
the things that do matter, people aren't doing. So
Yeah. Join the Underground Railroad. It's probably somewhere.
yeah, it's gonna have to go underground pretty quick here. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
It's fine.
We'll get through
That's
it.
fine. Yeah. And we'll talk about it all on the podcast.
On the podcast.
I love talking about politics. I just like
Yeah.
talking about the Gulf of America because I
Mhm.
found that out today. I saw the Da Vinci twins say that they were renaming it the Da Vinci Gulf of Da Vinci, and I was like, oh, that's funny. And I saw that 3 days ago, and then I didn't follow up on it, and then I saw another post, and I'm like, why is everyone talking about the Gulf of Mexico? And then I had to check
love
it out.
them.
I love the Da Vinci twins too. They're great. They're the only reason I go on Twitter is to watch the Da Vinci twins.
Yeah,
I like the running.
true.
I like the running.
There's nothing
bit.
else to go back to.
No, it's just the Da Vinci twins.
It's a fascist platform. It's just horrible.
Yeah, it's all fascism and corporate greed, and then there's just the Da Vinci twins
The Da
saying,
Vinci
"Don't kill
twins.
yourself. Don't kill yourself," and they
Yeah,
look so
and-
stupid.
And then the video of the Rizzler going sneaker shopping or whatever.
Did they go with the Da Vinci twins?
No, I think
Oh.
the Rizzler went sneaker shopping by himself, which was crazy.
Oh, really?
I didn't know Complex was still doing that. They used to be a big thing.
Wait, they're still doing the complex sneaker shopping thing,
I guess so. Yeah,
and they got the Rizzler.
they got the Rizzler. He's just gonna grow out of them shoes in like 6 months.
Yeah,
You're scamming him.
man, I can't. I can't imagine. That thing must have really fallen off. That's crazy. Remember when Drake was on that?
Yeah, I remember when like the biggest people were on that.
Yeah,
And then Hot Ones kind of took its thunder.
that's true. And now Hot
which
Ones
seems
is
like a natural progression. But yeah, no, that's kind of
now Hot Ones is interviewing cartoon characters.
yeah.
How
What's
the
the
hell?
next thing?
How the hell is Donald Duck gonna react? How is Venom gonna react to Hot Wings?
You ain't eating those wings.
Yeah, Venom doesn't eat hot wings.
Well, I hope they have like the voice actors do it and then they animate it, but I don't know how that
Oh.
works.
I don't think they did. And they didn't even credit the animators.
Yeah.
They were just like
Interesting.
Venom appeared as himself because Venom's a
Sean
real
Evans.
person.
Come on, Sean Evans, you're independent now. Do the good thing.
Are they?
Yeah, I think he bought it.
Oh, who owned it before? Oh, the first we
BuzzFeed, I think?
feast. Oh,
Or yeah, which I think
BuzzFeed.
is from BuzzFeed.
I didn't know BuzzFeed still existed.
All media conglomerates. BuzzFeed has a ton of stuff
What
that
the
isn't
hell?
called BuzzFeed, which gives them more plays because people hate the word BuzzFeed.
Yeah, I feel like they just stopped making videos after 2016.
It's run its course.
I guess so. I guess there's no place on the internet for quirky millennials anymore. Quirky liberal millennials.
Now they're all senile.
Yeah. But I need to know what Lena Dunham's opinions are on the new Venom movie. Or Wicked. What is Lena Dunham's
Wicked.
opinion on Wicked? The best film of the year.
Last year.
Whatever. Fun fact: I talked about Wicked on the last podcast episode, and then my mom listened to it and sent me a text and said, "What? How dare you disrespect Wicked on a podcast?"
Tearing
So
your family apart
that's
over
fine.
Wicked.
It's fine. That movie sucks, or it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't
Yeah.
suck. It's fine. It's not the best movie of the year. When are the Oscars? I think the Oscars. I think
Yeah, that's coming up, isn't it?
I think it's not tomorrow. I think it's like the 15th.
I hope
Oh,
Amelia
never
Perez
mind.
wins just to revel in the chaos.
That would be funny. Okay, it's on the 2nd of March, so we still have a couple
Oh,
weeks.
okay. We got some time. Road to the Oscars.
Yeah. Conan's hosting. That's pretty sick. I feel like it's been Jimmy Kimmel for like 6 years in a row. Like,
Ew.
why do you keep hiring Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
I know that he works for ABC. That's probably the only reason they keep bringing Jimmy Kimmel back. But Conan's great. I love Conan.
Like, what's his face that hosted the Grammys 2 years in a row?
Oh, I don't know.
Trevor Noah, I think.
Oh, Trevor Noah.
Yeah. I feel like after 1 year, you're probably good. I don't know if you need to.
Trevor Noah's not that kind of comedian.
Yeah, he's just kind of annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a very particular sense of humor that doesn't fit well with an award show. Although I guess Jimmy Kimmel doesn't either, but
no,
that didn't stop the Oscar. I hope Amelia Perez wins too.
Just to see what happens.
Yeah. I want the was she transphobic? No, she was Islamophobic.
Yeah, she is trans, I think.
Oh, she is? Oh, yeah, she is, because
Yeah.
that's the whole point of the movie. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, she just doesn't like Muslim people.
No, yeah, she just has the worst tweets ever, and then her
Yeah.
apology is like, "I'm so sorry that I said the like." She's like, "I'm so sorry that those things came out," when like she literally put them out.
I'm so sorry you got offended by the things I
Yeah.
said. I'm sorry you feel that way. That was the equivalent of that apology.
Mhm.
That would be pretty sick if she took home the gold. That would honestly, that would make a few headlines, and that is good for business.
But a discourse.
Yeah.
That means more money for us.
John Oscar is always looking for some more buzz.
We don't make money.
No.
But if we did, we would make more of it.
I have a pitch for Oscar.
Okay. Mhm.
Oscar, if you want to make headlines, you should have a marginalized person win an award. And then you can say, wow, this person is the first person of insert marginalized group here to win an award. Isn't that special?
Make it like basketball, though, where it's like first player under 6'10" to make a triple-double in under 25 minutes.
Yeah, make it very
'Cause
specific.
They have like very specific stats that they always put on the screen.
Yeah, because you can't say like, whatever, Wilt Chamberlain scored like 100 points in a game
Yeah.
because everyone else was under 5 feet when he was playing.
Mhm.
You can't beat him at
We
anything.
run out of stat lines.
Yeah, it was like, well, Coda, the first deaf movie, and Parasite was the first foreign movie, and Everything
first
Everywhere was the
not
first
even
gay
English.
nihilist movie. And now Amelia Perez is gonna win, and it's gonna be wow. It's the
The
first
first woke, non-woke movie.
the first the first anti-woke trans film. I don't know if it's
What a
anti-woke.
time to be
I
alive.
think it's about the trans experience.
No, yeah, it is.
I don't care. Well, I care about the trans experience. I just don't think that a musical about
I don't need to hear it from her.
No. That's exactly it. Watch The People's Joker or
It'd be like Caitlyn Jenner talking about it. I'm good.
or Blair White. I
Yeah,
want to hear
exactly.
I want to hear Blair White talk about the trans experience. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else you wanted to say before we end the show?
No.
No? Really think about
think
it.
so.
Give it some more time.
I was trying to think, and
Really, there's nothing else.
nothing really coming to me.
There's nothing else in this whole world that you want to say. This is a platform. You have a
This is a
platform.
platform. I do have a platform.
And you can say literally anything, and a
That's
group
true.
of people will listen to it. Theoretically.
Buy my new meme coin. $boy TME. We're taking it to the moon.
Do you have an OpenSea account that we would need to start a coin like that?
Let's say yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's a rug pull, so like I don't need to do anything real.
Well, I don't think
I
you're
can just.
I don't think
Oh,
you're
I'm not supposed to say.
You're not supposed to say it's a rug pull.
Well, it's just it's so normalized now. Where I thought people were just open about it. I thought you could just like say that it's a meme coin, and then the implication is that you're going to get screwed.
As soon as it's labeled a meme coin, you know that you're going to lose a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. That's why Elon Musk put $60 billion into Dogecoin and then pulled out.
Yeah.
Can you still buy a Tesla with Dogecoin? That's what I want to know.
I don't know.
Because you used to be able to.
Mm-hmm.
And now Dogecoin runs the government.
Exactly.
Isn't that fun? I love Dogecoin. Yeah. I should have bought some.
I guess like my final words are, if you ever get like a Freaky Friday situation with Elon Musk, jump off the nearest building you can find as soon as possible.
I love that. There's that video where it's like me if I was Elon Musk's body. And then it's Miles and he's like doing the thing at the end of Spider-Verse. Yeah, that would be nice. It's like that tweet where it's like, what is it? If I ever woke up in Taylor Swift's body, I would post a video of me freebasing crack and then post that with the
myself $9 million.
And then the caption of the post is "I hate my white fans," and then logging off. That's a good tweet, and that's what I would do if I was Taylor Swift.
There's a lot of good Freaky Friday situations you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, exclusively like with the most influential and powerful people. If I was Harry Styles, I would like post a bunch of misogynist tweets because like that's like 98% of his audience are like
that's true
teenage girls that grew up with One Direction. And it's like, actually, I've never found women attractive, really. I'm more of I like men too much or something. Or I don't hire any women. There's no women that work for me because I hate them. Just be super overt, I guess, if I was Harry Styles.
Kanye style, all caps.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I would call all women the C word. It would be really great. Really fun. And if I was I Show Speed, I'll tell you what I would do if I was I Show Speed. I would record an episode of the Boy Time podcast, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
He's got one of my favorite videos of all time with the video of like when he downs a kid in Fortnite and he's like, please feed some me money, I'm homeless. And then he's like laughing. He's like, I'm watching your stream. Why are you laughing at him? It's one of the best videos of all time.
Yeah, I like I Show Speed. He seems like, well, he associates with weird, he like associates with Mr. Beast a lot. And like, Kai Cenat, who did like a sponsorship with McDonald's in the height of the boycott thing.
Yeah. And he used to be a lot more like ingrained in that, but I feel like recently he's really like started doing his own thing. And like, he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. Well,
he's been like pro-Palestine for like years.
Oh, yeah.
Like ever since he was a kid, he was saying that. Like, good on ya. Good on ya, Speed. I don't even know his real name.
Be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
some of them. Most of them are.
Yeah. Most of them like Matt Walsh, but
yeah, it's either you're Hitler Youth or you're pretty good.
Yeah, there's really no in between.
There's no in between when it comes to men right now.
You either think Andrew Tate is a god or you are excited for the new Bon Iver album.
Exactly.
I don't really know if that's the best.
I think that's a good Venn diagram.
Okay. You don't think there's any Andrew Tate fans that are excited for the new Bon Iver album?
I know Bon Iver does have quite a few conservative fans somehow.
But he
That
had
seems to always get mad.
a whole
Which,
song called the worst day
yeah,
in
I know.
American history.
I know it's strange,
Yeah.
but I guess that happens when you're, kind of this alt country adjacent artist in certain areas.
That's what happens when you work with Kanye.
That too.
Okay, I have nothing else to add. I have a platform and I don't have anything else to say.
Good.
Bye-bye.